may capture images and sounds from those attending the meeting. If you would like to make a public comment on any item on the agenda or not on the agenda, please see staff at the side table for a comment card. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The board did meet in closed session, and we will have a report out from Trustee Lametta.
Good evening. The board met in closed session on the following items: public employee discipline, dismissal, release, information only, conference with labor negotiators Joshua Braff, Chief Financial Officer, and employees organization Novato Federation of Teachers, NFT, information only.
Thank you. Can I ask for an approval of this evening's agenda? Trustee Millerick, thank you with a first.
Yes.
A second by Trustee Gasson, thank you. All those in favor of approving tonight's agenda? We have 6 in favor plus our 2 student trustees. And next will be our consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like to pull off of the consent agenda?
To be clear, before we move forward, it was a 6-0 vote. Which trustee was absent?
Trustee Pickus is absent this evening.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any items from consent? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated? Trustee Gasson, thank you. And a second? By Trustee Lametta, thank you. All those in favor? We have 6 for plus 2 student trustees, none opposed. Thank you. We will now go to our student trustees for announcements.
Good evening. I'm thrilled to share a few highlights from last week at San Marin. Last week was our Homecoming Spirit Week and was filled with high enthusiasm and unforgettable moments. Each day brought unique themes, and it was fantastic to see our students and staff showcase their creativity and school pride. We made spirit teams for groups of students to dress alike and compete against other groups for the prize of a free meal. The winning group is to be determined. On Tuesday evening, our talented musicians took the stage at Hot Monk for the rock band concert. We heard there was a great attendance at the performance and that everyone had a blast. Wednesday was a significant day with the presidential election taking place. We understand these events can evoke a range of emotions, so our teachers had open discussions to provide students with a safe space to express their opinions. Thursday night featured our dazzling downtown parade. It was heartwarming to see how many people lined up the streets to support our students, admire the floats, and cheer on the homecoming court. Friday's rally was a spirited celebration of our school community. We kicked it off by watching the homecoming court's handshakes and dances, did a relay race on the mattresses, played Finish the Lyric, as well as Red Light, Green Light, and ended it off with our class chant. Recognizing that not everyone thrives in intense environments, we designated 10 classrooms as quiet study spaces for those who preferred the calmness and comfort to go to during the rally. Under the lights on Friday night, our varsity football team claimed the victory after blocking a field goal. During halftime, we announced the homecoming court winners. Congratulations to Caetano Ladaliste and Quincy Dean, the 2024 San Marin Homecoming King and Queen. The excitement continued on Saturday with our girls water polo team barely losing against the #1 ranked team. Our homecoming dance was also on Saturday and was attended by almost 700 students. We've received compliments about how the dance has become more enjoyable over the years. A fan favorite from the dance was the newly introduced fog gun. Moving on to the future, the 3rd annual Zach Wilhelm and Coach Craig Pitty Memorial Basketball Game is the night before Thanksgiving, with tip-off at 6 p.m. in the gym. This event has become a Novato tradition to raise funds for the Zach Wilhelm and Craig Pitty scholarships. Following the game, there will be delicious spaghetti for sale. And for the first time in San Marin history, we will be hosting a movie night this Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the baseball field. There is a $5 entry fee, but we will be serving popcorn and drinks. Students can vote for the movie via the QR code in the San Marin Sun. And I wanted to give a shout out to my fellow seniors working hard on their college applications, as well as the wonderful counselors helping them do so. And special thanks to Mrs. Lloyd, who leads all the events and whose passion to improve San Miranda and ASB is a joy to be a part of. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. From Novato High School News, last week, preview night for incoming freshmen went very successful. We had a huge crowd and lots of info sessions from all of our programs at NHS. We did want to thank the board members for joining us at the homecoming parade 2 weeks ago. It was a pretty wet night, but it was great to see our community come together. Homecoming is officially over, which doesn't feel real, but our ASB had so much fun planning and executing all the events for homecoming. And then, of course, a big congratulations to Claire Hannon and Jace Adams for winning Homecoming Court. This week, our Sustainable Youth Leaders Club is hosting a clothing and shoes drive that will culminate in a sustainable pop-up shop next week. With Thanksgiving coming up, Sustainable Youth Leaders is bringing the spirit of giving and creating this drive for an opportunity to shed light on the impacts of fast fashion and encourage sustainable spending. We wanted to give a huge shout out to School Fuel for allocating funds for many of our student clubs, including Sustainable Youth Leaders. Also, the Wellness Hub received a grant from School Fuel to fund dance classes for all NHS students and staff. Caballeros de Oro is a local dance community that will be teaching Latin dance styles including cumbia, bachata, salsa merengue, and much more for all for free. Again, this couldn't be done without School Fuel, so big thank you to them. On the MSA side, our theater's fall show, Anything Goes, is opening this Friday. Come by to enjoy the fast-paced comedic musical and our talented young actors and actresses. Our rock band is playing next week at Sweetwater on November 18th, and this is also a dine and donate at the concert venue. So definitely come check it out and see our amazing musicians. Our artist of the week is Lali Castillo Gonzalez, and she is a fourth-year musical theater student who's also an incredible student choreographer. She's kind, supportive, and always willing to help. In athletic news, our fall season has ended, so I wanted to recognize all the athletes' hard work, and now winter season is starting, so we're super excited for girls and boys basketball, soccer, wrestling, and cheer and dance. Thank you.
Ross, if you wouldn't mind, we're going to go to Melanie Perez from Marin Oaks. If you have any announcements.
Right, so our school has a partnership with Magnolia Project again this year. Magnolia Project helps prepare students for work after high school. Every student in the Bridges 2 course and 2 NOVA students are participating in the Magnolia Project internships. Internships began last Monday, where students are working at their internship for 2 weeks during school hours, rather than attending attending class at Marin Oaks or NOVA. Last year, students who participated expressed learning a great deal, so our students this year are very excited about this experience. I'm participating and enjoying it very much. We had our first team building day this quarter, an event that leadership class puts together to help students to learn to work together as a team toward a sure toward a shared goal. The students are broken up into 7 to 10 groups and given 5 minutes at each activity table. The team with the most points wins and earns a pizza lunch. The students in art class have begun working with artworks to develop our new ideas for this year's murals. We have a long standing partnership with lead teacher Katia. Next Monday, we have our second graduate profile luncheon, where staff selected students who displayed last month's graduate profile in class. The students began celebrate our conditions learners. We're having our honor assembly next Thursday, November 21st at 1 p.m. in the gym. You are all invited. Next Friday, November 22nd, we're having our annual Thanksgiving Fest at 12 p.m. and you're also invited to that as well. Thank you.
I have no comments for this evening. Thank you very much.
I was able to do a site visit at Loma Verde in Pleasant Valley since our last board meeting, and I'm doing a site visit tomorrow at Lou Sutton. So I always look forward to that. There's great, every time we go into a classroom, there is just great teaching and learning happening. The things that we approve here at this table, I'm seeing in action in the classroom. So that is just, I love seeing that. It's just great. San Marin Homecoming Parade, I was able to participate in that as well, which was super fun. And I went to the North Marin Council PTA meeting, which Diane and I represent the board there at those meetings. And then this Friday, I am going to get to be able to see Anything Goes, the MSA performance.
Hello. First thing I want to do is give a shout out to the students who put together the homecoming parades. I had a really great time at Novato Highs, and I wish I had been able to make it to San Marin's, but it was a great job, a lot of fun. Trustee Pickus and I, we actually attended the Marin County Committee on School District Organization, which I wasn't completely familiar with. And so for those who don't know, and I had to look it up, but it's the committee studies and makes recommendations in the areas of the organization and reorganization of school districts, the transfer of territory between and or among school districts, and the number of trustees and the manner by which they are elected. So the meeting was actually just to elect representatives for the committee, so that was interesting. And then I think Trustee Pickus was also at the District Special Education Advisory Committee meeting. It was a wonderful meeting. I appreciate the team and the thought that goes into the agenda for those. We discussed the transitions for students and also de-escalation techniques, which as a mom of 2 teen girls, that was very helpful personally to learn how to de-escalate conversation or bring the tone of things down. So that was great. And then I also, with Trustee Butler, went to Loma Verde and had a site visit. It was really fun to see the little kids and what they're up to. And I got a hug from my daughter's former preschool teacher, who works there now. And North Marin Council PTA, we had Schoolfield was there, and they reported on $330,000 that went out to schools, which was fabulous, all the things that they funded. Thank you so much. If anyone wants the list, it's at their website for nevatoschoolfield.org /program-grants. And finally, we have a JLAC meeting tomorrow, Joint Legislative Advisory Committee, and I'm looking forward to that because we're going to be talking about the priorities for 2025, so what we're going to be advocating for. And I think given a lot of recent changes, it's going to be really important to focus on how we're going to continue funding our schools and supporting our students. So that's it.
Just a couple things. I joined Trustee Butler and Trustee Gannon at Loma Verde. Gasson, sorry, Gannon. At Loma Verde for a visit, enjoyed that. Always enjoy going to Loma Verde. And then also had the privilege to participate in the 2 homecoming parades, both for Novato in the rain and for San Marin in the back of the electric truck. So enjoyed it. Thanks.
Good evening, buenas noches. So I got a chance to go to the Novato and San Rafael High football game with San Rafael trustee Maureen Denieva Marsh. We lost, so I lost the bet, so I have to go to another game. And then I also participated in the San Marin homecoming. It was the excitement, the crowd. It got me going. We went around the town 3 times with Trustee Mack, Butler, and Trustee Jacobson. So that was really fun. And I'm excited to attend JLAC tomorrow morning. And that is it.
I got to go to the Schools Rule distribution event, and that is the county-wide fundraising organization, and they distribute money to the different organizations that are city organizations. Ours is School Fuel. $195,000 was awarded to Schools Rule, to School Fuel, which was fantastic, and part of what Trustee Gasson talked about. It's part of how they fund all of those grants that come to our schools that are so important. I participated in the Budget Advisory Committee. I was in a meeting with Marin Promise Partnership with many representatives from the district and from their organization to kind of continue some of the conversations we've been having on how we can support students. The parade was fantastic. I was very sad I couldn't go to both, but I'm glad I could go to one. The homecoming football game was great, and that's it.
All right. I'm so sad. Circumstances kept me away from both homecoming parades. So next year for sure. And congratulations to all the teams this fall. There's still one big event on Friday night, right? San Marin de La Salle. All right, here we go. Student Advisory Committee meets tomorrow. We are going to be working on providing changes or thinking through mental health supports, so that's timely for tonight's Wellness Hub discussion. We have a retreat at the Jonas Center, sponsored by the Marin County Office of Education and the College of Marin, to bring together all of the many nonprofit organizations within Marin County to figure out how we can work better together to serve our students who are newly arrived from other countries. The Ruby Bridges Walk is this week, probably not so much at the high school level, but definitely at the elementary and middle school level. Inclusive Schools Week is coming up, and I'm saying December, but it'll be here before you know it, right? December 2nd through the 6th, so that's after Thanksgiving break, which is also coming up, but not until after elementary conferences happen next week. During the Thanksgiving break, I know you're going to be sad to hear this, but the district office is formally closed to the public. So let's give everybody a rest, right? Everybody take a break. And we're super excited about winter sports starting.
Okay, our next exciting thing we have tonight is we're going to be honoring our National Merit Scholarship Program students. The National Merit Scholarship Program recognizes and honors academically talented students throughout scholarship programs. To be a commended National Merit Scholarship winner, a student must achieve must achieve a score on the PTSAs that places them amongst the top 50,000 scores nationwide, essentially reaching the 96th percentile. And we have numerous students from NUSD, so we would like them to come up. From Novato High, we have Nathan, Ewan, and Diego. Please come up, the three of you. And then from San Marin, okay, we can clap now. We have a bag of Smarties for our Smarties. From San Raf, thank you, Nathan. Great job.
Stay up here.
Ewan and Diego, congratulations. Please stay. And then from San Marin, we have another Nathan, Disha, our student trustee. This Disha. Oh my goodness, you have come to us before. I apologize. I'm always gonna screw something up. We have Allison, Adelaida. That one I didn't do right either. Addie, thank you. And Abraham. Okay, thank you all so much for your hard work. Would you guys want to take your Smarties to your friends?
Yes, please.
I think they are both from San Marin. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item is a school presentation from Marin Oaks.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kessa Early, Principal of Alternative Education. Thank you so much for having us tonight. We are really excited to share with you about our garden. And as you know, our district's focus is on academic intervention, and Marin Oaks is a district-wide tier 3 intervention, right? So this larger school system has not worked for our students, and so our job is to creatively get this information to our kiddos. We've talked about in the past, we've talked about our, we're going to explain what's happening right here in just a minute. I'm going to have Anita share with you what's happening. Okay, so in the past, I've talked a little bit about whether it's mandatory tutorial, so for students who have a C- or below, and they have to receive extra support after school and during advisory, or we've talked also about academic probation. And tonight, we're going to talk about one of our enrichment classes. One of the best things about our program is all of the different enrichment programs that we have, and we partner with a lot of local community members. And so with me tonight, I have two of our students, UDL and Celeste, and our English teacher, Ms. Schaefer, and our garden extraordinaire, Anita Gale Jones, who is also an author of The Peach Seed. Just shameless plug right now for her for just a second, because she's written a great book. If you haven't had a chance to read it, it's called The Peach Seed. So you can get it on Amazon, yeah. And so she has been volunteering for us for years and years, over a decade, and she has really helped create a collaborative community for our kids. And so Marin Oaks Garden has a transformative tool that has helped boost student engagement, academic performance, and attendance while providing students with critical collaboration skills.
It has been my pleasure to be in that garden since 2008. My daughter went to middle school when it was Hill Middle School, and she just turned 30. So I'm still in the garden. So it's a joy, it's a pleasure. We meet and we turn off our phones and connect with each other and the earth. And when they show up, I show up, because it's kind of nice to be in the garden and not plugged into your phones. And then after we do our garden work, get our hands nice and dirty, we wash them. And we do a circle. I give a little thought for the week. And then we have 60 seconds of silence so that we can remember we're human and not machines. The garden was started, I think, when I was there, when it was a middle school, Nicole Kamel started she was the one who pulled me into the garden, a really gifted teacher. And as I said, she recognized a good volunteer when she saw one, because obviously I'm still there. So I just love that the kids come and that they came tonight to do this. It's just a pleasure. Yes, what you have in your little goodie bag, we have a pineapple guava tree in the garden, and these are pineapple guavas. Show of hands, you know what a pineapple guava is? Oh, good, I'm glad we're in. It's one of those, that's right. My recommendation is that you cut it in half and you just scoop it out with a spoon and let us know what you think. I've heard it tastes like Hi Chew, that candy, Hi Chew. And then I've heard it tastes like lotion, so who knows? You'll be the judge of that. And then the flowers or the succulents are from the garden. The kids made them this morning for you. Thank you.
Okay, and just really quickly, the impact that the garden has is threefold. So we have creating engagement and building connection, and what that looks like is hands-on learning, collaborative skills, real-world relevance. We also have it boosts academic performance, so that's increased motivation for core subjects, develop critical thinking skills, and then improving attendance, and that's a sense of responsibility and creating a sense of calm in the environment. And so I'm not going to read this out loud to you, but you can look at it. And this is a sample of 14 of our students who have regularly participated in the garden, and the difference between their GPA and their attendance at their previous school versus now at Marin Oaks. And while it's not solely, because of the garden, that does play a very impactful part.
I'm Ann Schaefer. I'm the English teacher at Marin Oaks, and I have the pleasure of introducing two wonderful students who are going to tell you a little bit about the garden in general and personally what it means to them. So this is Uriel and Celeste, and Uriel is going to start us off.
The garden club is important because it shows student well-being, promotes mental health, reduces anxiety, and encourages school attendance and engagement. And it also helps for the community, fosters connection within the school, builds connections with community members. And personally for me, I like being outside and using my hands because it's relaxing and enjoyable.
And we have a student who wasn't able to make it today, so I will read what he was going to present. And I'll also tell you, as you notice, like each of these has some quotes from other students too, so I'm not gonna read them all, but I invite you to read them because it represents quite a few students at our school and what the garden has meant to them. Experiential learning, personally, this is one of my favorites. The garden creates a nature-based learning environment. It helps the students sharpen their observational skills, and it provides a low-stress classroom setting. I want to read, what this student would have brought to the presentation. This is in his own words. I like that we have the ability to be outside and spend time with friends during class. Not only that, but you get exercise and are taught useful things about gardening.
The garden brings joy, creates student happiness, encourages wonder. The garden also brings beauty, helps us connects the students to nature. And then what I enjoy about the garden is how we all get together to clean the environment and also to plant new vegetables and plants.
Thank you for listening. I want to just close by saying, as a teacher, when I take students into the garden, which we sometimes do during English class, there's something really visible about what happens with their bodies. And it's clear that being in that environment just allows them to relax into learning in a way that isn't quite possible in a classroom. So to me personally, it's super palpable. I can see them pick a space in the garden or pick a partner to be with, and their shoulders drop, and the learning experience just comes a little bit more easily. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, we are here for your questions.
Thank you so much, Trustee Gaston, and then Trustee Millerick.
I just want to say thank you. These are beautiful and fun. I love my little pig pickle jar that I got too. It makes it really look very fun. But I appreciate it and glad to see all the stuff from the garden. I'm a master gardener, so that was why I kind of knew what these were. And I'm always happy to help if you guys need it. So.
Thank you very much for the gifts. Clearly, learning has a lot to do with how can you not use your head but your hands. That ability that humans have that other species don't is actually very interesting, and I'm glad to see that what we're doing at this campus is exercising both of those abilities. My question is, the College of Marin has a farm program. Do you guys collaborate with them at all, or how does that work? Thank you. Thank you for the.
Yes, I was just there the other day and mentioned the garden, and she said that they often donate plans. So we are going to be getting in touch with them about that.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have non-agenda public comment from Maria Rojas. We are going to have this translated for us, so we will give double time to make sure that everyone has time to speak. While we're checking the mic, I just want to also remind you that non-agenda public comment, we are not able to comment back, but we're happy that you're here to share your comment.
Gracias. Thank you. Buenas noches con todos.
Good evening, everyone.
Mi nombre es María Rojas.
My name is Maria Rojas,
Soy madre de Marcelo Quevedo Rojas,
and I am the mother of Marcelo Quevedo Rojas.
alumno de la escuela San José de Media.
He attends San Jose Middle School.
Agradezco la oportunidad que me dan todos ustedes de pararme frente a ustedes a dar mi testimonio.
I thank you for the opportunity that you give me to be in front of you to give my testimony.
Hace un mes aproximadamente, mi hijo tuvo un episodio en la escuela
About a month ago, my son experienced an episode at school.
en el que fue afectado por amenazas de un compañero.
He was threatened by a schoolmate.
Acudí a los principales de la escuela
I did reach out to the principals
para hacerles saber la incomodidad que había pasado mi hijo y la amenaza de la que él había sido víctima.
to let them know that my child had been threatened and how he had been made to feel uncomfortable because of the threat.
Ellos tomaron atención a mi comentario y hicieron un grupo reconstructivo con todos los niños que estuvieron en la escuela presenciando lo que sucedió.
So they did pay attention to what I had to say, and they brought together a community group of the students that had witnessed the event, and it was supposed to be a reconstructive process.
Entiendo que esta es la manera en la que se deben de hacer las cosas,
And I understand that that is the way in which things are meant to be handled.
pero esto no ha parado.
However, this has not stopped.
En este momento, mi hijo, aproximadamente unas 2 semanas atrás, en la escuela, en horario de clases, una compañera halló una carta donde expresaban
So at this point, about a week ago, there was another child, another schoolmate, a girl, who found a letter that
donde expresaban cosas muy obscenas sobre mi hijo, mi familia, su sexualidad, a lo que mi hijo se encuentra en ese momento muy afectado emocionalmente. Los niños en la escuela han sido partícipes de esta letra, lo han leído y ahora todos hablan de eso.
And this letter contained many, many threatening topics. It talked about my child's sexuality. It talked about my family, the rest of the members of my family. And this was something that became common fodder for the rest of the students at the school.
No solo estoy aquí por mi hijo, sino por todos los niños que puedan estar pasando esto.
I'm not just here for my child, but for any other students that may be going through this.
Gracias.
Puedes continuar si deseas, porque nos dieron extra tiempo por la traducción.
Ok, a eso quiero adicionar que en este momento, como mamá,
So what I would like to add at this moment as a parent,
estoy tomando cartas en el asunto en cuanto a su situación emocional con un profesional médico.
I am taking matters into my own hands by seeking services from a professional, from a mental health professional.
A esto quiero adicionar que mi llegada a este país fue porque tengo una hija que también está estudiando en la escuela Rancho, a la cual agradezco tanto y ustedes también por hacer esta educación tan inclusiva.
I would also like to add that, you know, when I came into this country, I also brought another child with me who attends Rancho, and I would like to thank you for being inclusive of her as well.
Mi hija es paciente oncológica, ella tiene cáncer cerebral.
My daughter is an oncology patient. She has cerebral cancer.
Y ya para nosotros como familia haber pasado por esta situación y seguir pasándola es muy complicado emocionalmente.
And as a family, having gone through that with her, we're already at a place where we're emotionally compromised.
Y estoy aquí para pedir ayuda,
And I'm here to seek your help,
no solo para mi hijo,
not just for my child,
sino para los demás que también puedan estar pasando algo similar como lo de mi niño.
but for others who may also be going through the same thing that my son is going through.
Por favor.
Please.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next item is 12A, Wellness Overview, High School Programs. We have Anna McGee presenting.
Come on, friend.
With an entourage. Love it.
Why is it not working?
All right. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Tracy Smith. We are delighted to be here tonight to talk about our wellness programs in the high school. That's the focus today, although there's lots of different wellness programs going on in our district. You can see we have quite a crew. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself, allow the staff to do so, and our students to do the same. And then we're going to talk a little bit about wellness, and we're going to play a little game, so get ready to get up. There we go. So my name is Anna McGee. I'm the Student Support and Wellness Coordinator here at the district. This is my 8th year with NUSD. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker. So I, before coming into this role, was a counselor at Novato High School. And so I'm really happy to be here as part of the district and overseeing and supporting wellness and counseling. I also have 2 kids in the district, so this community is very near and dear to my heart. And I'm going to pass it on to Sarah, who's going to introduce herself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Suval, and I'm the Wellness Hub Specialist at Novato High. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker. It's my 2nd year at Novato High, and prior to this, I was a middle school counselor for 12 years. I also have 2 children in the district.
Hello. My name's Haley Rivas. I'm the Wellness Hub Navigator at Novato High School. This will be my 3rd school year as the Wellness Hub Navigator and my 4th year at Novato High School. And I also have a kid at Lou Sutton. So, thank you.
Hello, my name is Kaylee Keene. I'm an associate marriage and family therapist and a school counselor. I am the Wellness Hub Specialist at San Marin High School. This is my 2nd year at San Marin, and I don't have any children, but I joined this profession because I feel that public schools are the most equitable place to be distributing mental health services.
Hi, I'm Cindy Negretti. I'm the Wellness Hub Navigator at San Marin High School. Before this, I was a paraeducator at Hamilton, so it's definitely a change, but I love working in education, which is why I'm in mental health now. I love making a difference in my community, and yeah.
Thank you. And then you see up here, Sarah Jack is named. She's our Wellness Hub navigator at Marin Oaks. This is the first year that she's been here. Prior to that, she was with our district as a substance abuse specialist, just wasn't able to make it here tonight. So we're going to have a couple of our staff members talk about what exactly is a Wellness Hub specialist and what is a Wellness Hub navigator. These titles can be very confusing, so we want to clarify that first and foremost. Then we're going to talk a little bit about how students get connected with services, and then we're going to have our students come up and play a game, and you'll introduce yourselves at that time. Okay?
All right. What? Oh, slide. So as we said, the Wellness Hub specialist is a mental health clinician. So first and foremost, we're really there for students to process heavy feelings. We also have to conduct, unfortunately, it's a hard part of our job, but suicide risk assessments. We also coordinate all of our mental health services on site. So we have outside organizations come in and do one-on-one therapy with our students, and those referrals come through us. We also facilitate the coordination of services team meeting, which is a weekly meeting comprised of all school counselors, the school psychologists, administrators, and wellness staff. And what that meeting really is for is to talk about students who are at high risk and what kind of services we can give to them, what makes the most sense. We put our heads together, and that's a weekly meeting. So that's for students who are struggling academically, behaviorally, with attendance, or also have social emotional needs. We also run and facilitate the Student Wellness Ambassador Club, which Oliver will talk about shortly. And we run tobacco use prevention education. We also have school-wide events that we run weekly. We will have Wellness Wednesdays where we do activities in front of the cafe at lunch. And those topics are usually, or activities are based on topics of the month. So this month was gratitude. Last month was alcohol abuse and use prevention. And we also have our weekly wellness videos that we come out with weekly based on the same topic. So gratitude is the month of November. We have 2 yearly wellness fairs that we invite outside partners to come and table at lunch, or this year was at the beginning of the year was on our first day of school, so that way students can learn about what community organizations there are available to them. And then, like I said, we do crisis intervention, suicide risk assessments, restorative circles, and conversation. So the circles would look like us going into the classroom and working with teachers, or restorative conversations. I have one this week with a student who has a disagreement in class with a teacher. So I'll do that as well. And I think, unless you can think of anything, I think that's it. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the Wellness Hub Navigator is typically the first face you see when you walk into the Wellness Hub, and we greet students when they arrive and assess their needs. We monitor their brain breaks, as well as keep data for student usage and for the coordination of service team meeting. We help make appointments and connections for students to our Wellness Hub specialists and also our on-site providers. And then we also assist with the school-wide wellness campaigns, such as putting up flyers and posters around school. We run our Instagram as well as our Wellness Hub, wellness website. And then there's a Wellness Hub Navigator at San Marin, Novato High, and Marin Oaks. Thank you.
And just a little bit about the how, and I can't believe I didn't put it on here, but number one is drop-in. Students ask teachers to go to Wellness Hub for brain breaks. Students drop in before school, after school, during lunch and break. Wellness Hub is open from 8 to 4. We also have QR codes students can use for self-referral. Parents and staff can refer students. Counselors, of course, admin, teachers. So really, any way you can think of coming to wellness, we accept everyone, and in every way they make it there. But really, drop-in is the number one way in which we have students coming into the hub, and we'll talk about data in a little bit. We have social media, as Haley mentioned. We have the Instagram as well as wellness website for the district, and as well as for each wellness hub as well. That also gives the opportunity for referral. And funding, really important piece. So our wellness hubs are multi-funded by the Mental Health Student Services Act that does sunset at the end of this school year, as well as the Healthy Novato Initiative, and that is a partnership between North Marin Community Services, YLI, and the district, funded by Peter Haas. So those are the funding sources that support our programs currently. Now we're going to move on to our students. Oliver is going to talk a little bit about the Student Wellness Ambassador Program, but I'm going to have each student come up real quick and just introduce themselves, what school they go to, and why wellness, why are they here tonight. So go ahead and come up.
My name is Jacinda Wright. I'm a 10th grader at Novato High, and I am part of SWAP because I really care about helping others, and I want to help others so I can get the help I need to.
My name is Ashley. I am a senior at San Marin High School. Being part of the Wellness Hub Club has provided support for self-care and personal growth for everyone. The community is very supportive and a non-judgmental space, which allows me and others to connect with open, like-minded individuals. I appreciate how the Hub Club encourages me and others to prioritize my mental health and physical well-being.
Hey, hello, my name is Emily Ramos Lopez, and I'm a junior at San Marin High School. The Wellness Hub has significantly impacted me in a positive way by providing me a supportive and trusting environment where I could focus on my mental health and my physical health as well. It offers resources and activities that help me manage stress, stay motivated, and maintain a balanced lifestyle. This allows me to excel in my school life by improving my academic performance. Before discovering the Wellness Hub, my life was often stressful and overwhelming with all the extracurricular and schoolwork that I needed to do. I struggled to manage my time effectively and found it difficult to balance my academic and personal well-being. However, after engaging and being a part of the Wellness Hub, I have noticed a major transformation. The resources and the support it provided helped me develop a better coping mechanism and a more stronger and approachable lifestyle. This change not only improved my academic performance, but also enhanced my overall quality of life, making me feel more confident and capable both in and out of school. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Emily. I am a sophomore and I go to Novato High School. I'm a part of SWAP because I'm interested in doing psychology in the future, and I want to help my peers and community in my school. I also want to help make the school more of a positive environment for people to come to school and learn and enjoy, basically. So yeah.
Hello, everyone. Who else is starting to miss the cold? The summer. My name is Oliver, and I attend Novato High School. And as the students here, I'm also part of SWAP. SWAP stands for Student Wellness Ambassador Program. It is led by youth for youth. This program partners with Marin County Office of Education and is funded by Cal Hope. Middle and high school students all over Marin play a big part and are a big part of SWAP. By engaging in county-wide summits that teach us how to deal with people in need and educating us with the resources that are available to us. At NHS and San Marin, we meet weekly during our access time. During this time, we learn to be wellness leaders and it is shown on campus by supporting and planning Wellness Wednesdays, planning each activity and campaigns. At NHS, we plan and even star in wellness videos. And we even got to start a peer-to-peer class, which is an elective. And that's it.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to play a little game. Come on up. All right. Yeah. So we're going to get up out of our chairs, right?
We're going to play a balloon game to start us off. Everyone please stand up and make a big circle.
Yep, come on over.
No, bro, I'm like, oh. Is everyone? Okay. The goal is to keep the balloons up in the air and not let them drop to the floor. We are going to start with one and slowly add balloons to the group. If one of them happens to fall on the floor, pick it up. Say the word that's on the balloon in a really loud voice and drop it to the on the ground. These balloons are not things you Okay, everyone stop. Okay. These balloons are not things we think you should be worrying about. Rather, they are what some students said they worry about.
Gender identification, homework, friendship, grief and loss, climate change, positive pressure, and social media. Friend, family, safer sex, grief and loss.
All right, I'm gonna start here. What do you think this activity is about?
Money and jobs. Pressure. Sports.
Self-esteem.
Okay, so what do you think this activity is about? There are many times when we are really unable to keep all of the balloons up in the air. These balloons represent all of the different things that many of us are juggling in life. The Wellness Hub is here to help you juggle these things. If you are having a hard time keeping all of them up in the air and need extra support in any of these topic areas, come see us.
So this is actually an activity that's done in our 9th grade classrooms to let students know about the Wellness Hub during health and CCR class. So you just did an activity that students do when they're introduced to the Wellness Hub.
I'll now discuss some of the services that we provide per our MTSS tiers. So in Tier 1, we are open every day from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. During that time, students are welcome at any point to come for brain breaks, any wellness concerns. That's when we take our mental health referrals. We also have a self-care cart, which has hygiene supplies and like fidget self-care supplies in it. And then we have club meetings. We also oversee the whole school wellness programming. So as Sarah was mentioning earlier, we have our Wellness Wednesdays, our resource fairs, our wellness videos, and access presentations. We also have our SWAP students, not all of whom here, but many, to contribute to our student voice. We do restorative work with students and also in classrooms. We may hold restorative circles. We do classroom presentations with activities like the one you just saw in our Intro to Wellness. We do suicide prevention and then any topics as needed, so teachers can request us to come in and sort of do a guest lecture on different topics. We can also get outside community organizations to come in and do those, as we do with our suicide prevention, which is run by Buckaloo. We also do staff wellness, so we do some sort of professional development, staff meeting presentations, and staff appreciation events. And then we partner with North Marin Community Services Teen Clinic as a bridge to access reproductive health services.
Great, and I'll talk about our Tier 2 and Tier 3 services. You're tall.
I am tall, yes.
So we offer therapeutic groups. A very high need in Novato High that our students have is coping skills on how to deal with their anxiety. So each semester we offer a mindful moment group, which is a skill building group to learn skills so that they don't have to leave class and come to the hub. They can deal with their anxiety in the moment. We also offer, we've had a newcomer group in the past for newcomer students who arrive at our school. We're lucky at Novato High. We have Spanish-speaking therapists and English-speaking therapists, so we can take care of that population as well. We have mentorship, supporting the turn, and then I talked about the coordination of services team meeting that we have every week. And we also offer specialty case management for the first time this school year. It's grant funded, but we have case management for our newcomer students for other needs besides therapeutic needs. So if it's basic needs or help with immigration status, those are some of the things that we offer. And then for our Tier 3 students, we offer individual case management, crisis, and brief intervention, coordination of services for both on and off campus services. So we do offer short-term therapy, so if we see that a student needs more after the 12 weeks meeting with a provider, then we will give those referrals out to make sure that they get the services that they need. We support and coordinate the one-on-one counseling, and we are homeless and foster youth liaisons in partnership with other school staff.
All right, and we have a bit of data here for you, and I just want to point out a few things. So this is data for last year. It is really difficult to collect wellness data is what we're finding. You have to define what each of the services are. Sometimes students come in and have multiple services, so do you count them multiple times? Our Wellness Hub staff have been really great about asking good questions as we kind of, build this ship as we sail upon the seas of wellness and figure out how do we actually get good data that reflects what we're providing so that we can let people know how much the service is utilized. So you can see we have total student visits. Unique student visits, it basically means what I was seeing is that when we have students that come in multiple times, we didn't want to count them multiple times. We wanted to look at the month and make sure that we were saying how many students are actually coming in that are not just a multiple count. So that's what unique student visits means. Specialist check-ins with our mental health clinicians. A brain break's a 10 to 15 minute structured time a student comes in. We keep track of the time that they're there. They may use self-regulation tools in the Wellness Hub. That could be rest, that could be essential oils, that could be artwork. There's all kinds of different things we have, and the navigator's job is to connect students with those things. Non-class time, I'll talk about that in a second. And just the number of presentations and outreach that they either do themselves or support and schedule in the classrooms, that's a big part and difficult when it comes to working with teachers and the schedules of everybody to make happen. So that's been a big piece of their work as well. Looking at data for this year, you can see that we're already quite a bit ahead of last year in terms of being on pace for seeing quite a few more students. The little asterisk just lets you know that at Novato High School, all of the students who seek that one-to-one therapy services through North Marin, they actually check in through the hub. And so that number looks quite a bit higher, but just wanted to let you know that that's why that number looks a little bit differently. So we do parse those out each month when we report data. And unique student visits, again, you can see that's quite a bit higher. And non-class time, one of our staff was like, there's so many students in here during break, lunch, before and after school, that we should track that. So we really just look at an average, oftentimes the same students, but we have students that are buzzing around the hub. Both hubs have outdoor space where students are sitting in benches or at Novato High tables. We have games, so different things to help them engage so that wellness is everything. It's coping, it's fun, it's not just mental health, because all of those things are connected. So just a little bit about data, and you can see we've only here counted 57 school days, so we're quite a bit on pace to be ahead of the game for student. So that's all we have tonight. We wanted to leave time for questions and answers. Is there anything that we can address?
Anna, do you mind telling us kind of the total cost of the 2 wellness hubs and kind of the funding breakdown?
Sure. So
more or less, I know.
Yeah. I don't have the information in front of me, but essentially it's about $500,000 to fund salaries and supplies and benefits. We have 4 staff members, and we have mental health clinicians who are professionals with advanced degrees, as well as our classified staff who do a fabulous job of welcoming students while our clinicians are in with students in the space. So with just one person, it's really not possible to welcome students into the space and be able to triage what their needs are. So that's a really important aspect of the Wellness Hub itself. And they're also just so engaged beyond a single room. They're engaged in all of the things that happen on a campus in terms of whether it be suicide risk assessment. I can say as a counselor that counselors have told me that they actually feel like they can do more of the work that is academic and college and career focused because they are not dealing with much crisis. They're able to call on their colleagues to really help them out in a place of crisis. So that's been a really big bright spot in terms of just bringing on staff that have a specialty and aren't necessarily scheduled all day long, but are available for that immediate drop-in need. So, yeah.
Clarification,
Yes.
the last minute you said this was year-to-date data?
Correct.
So, for example, specialist check-ins, 375 is from the beginning of the school. I'm looking at the first column,
Yeah.
fourth, up till now. So if you projected for the whole year, which is what the budget number you gave us, a budget for the whole year.
This is number of student check-ins. So this isn't, these aren't finances here. That's the number of students that the specialist checked in with. So in slide 23-24 data, that means that 375 students checked in with the wellness specialist at San Marin and 294 at Novato High School.
For a whole year or for just
Correct.
year to date?
So this is for last year.
Oh, okay. Oh,
and
so
then
it is
the
all
next
year.
slide, I know they look very similar. The next slide is this year to date. So in the last
Okay,
57
I see
days
the
of
note.
school.
I see the
Yeah.
57. I hadn't turned the page.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. So, and the annual budget is about $500,000.
Correct.
And that includes San Marin, Novato High. Is there any services offered at Marin Oaks?
Yeah, so Marin Oaks has a Wellness Hub navigator. So they do not have a specialist clinician, but they are funded differently. They're not funded by MHSSA and the Healthy Novato initiative. That's through their equity multiplier,
Okay.
through the LCAP.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank
Sure,
you very much.
No problem.
Are you guys seeing any seasonality in your volumes in terms of people showing up due to the outside world, whether it's holidays or college application time or?
I would say yes, all of the above.
Yeah, I
before
just
holidays, before breaks, after breaks, anytime students have, it's usually before the break because they're nervous about whatever's going to happen at home or they're really nervous about finals. We've been really busy this year though, so yeah, we're probably going to ramp up before this next break. Yeah.
Got it. And you say ramp up, meaning just bringing more volunteers in?
No, in terms of numbers of students coming
volumes
in,
coming in.
that are going to want to check in and
Right.
get support processing whatever's going on for them.
Got it. Okay. And then the other question I have is obviously getting a great traction out there, a lot more participation. Kids, are embracing this. But what are you seeing in terms of the students that aren't doing it, and what's the best way to try to get them? Because there's obviously a need out there, I'm sure. How do we get them to take advantage of this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I appreciate you asking it because one of the things we're doing this year is instead of just looking at process data, like the number of students coming in, we're digging a little deeper in terms of demographics and seeing who is coming in and does it match the demographics of the school? And that's the piece that we're looking at this year. We're also looking at, and it's challenging, like I said, in terms of just defining what things are so that we can make sure that the numbers and the data really speak to the reality of the situation. Cross-referencing, like who's using brain breaks, who is it that's using NMCS services, so that we can do our outreach accordingly and do some things differently. So whether it's reaching out to athletic teams or to our EL classrooms or to our special education department, and being able to do things differently, because we're in year 2 of implementation. So first year, just like getting our feet wet, and now it's like, how does this program grow and look differently? Because that's absolutely a consideration. And that's why we look at unique student visits. Like, or do we have 100 visits of the same 5 students? We want to make sure that that's not what's happening. So, yeah. Did you want to say anything?
I was just going to say at San Marin, we noticed last year that we weren't getting that many athletes, and obviously athletics is a big part of San Marin culture. So one way that we adjusted for that was to go to captains meetings and do wellness presentations specifically to all the captains, so that they could go back and integrate those like specific tips and tricks into their team culture, unique team culture. And we noticed after doing those captains meetings that specifically the tea that we serve became very appealing. And once we had students sort of coming in the door that way, they then ended up like wanting to also gain access to mental health services. So anything we can do to like entice them through the door, we find that they then end up staying and becoming like repeat customers, for lack of a better term.
Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you so much. You guys are doing really important and meaningful work for our kids. And I can't thank you enough. One of the big things, I think you said coping skills. That's a huge one for me. I'm always focusing at home about coping skills. And then also the exercise. That just really is impactful for me for 2 different reasons. One, because of the idea of the kids are juggling so many things, but then also identifying the different things, because we all have similar things that we're all trying to keep up in the air, and that connection of it's not just you having this, this need or conversation about something that's going on in your life. So I thought that was really great, and I appreciated the exercise and example of what you guys are doing. So thank you.
To answering his question like a little bit more, we try to advertise the Wellness Hub on Wellness Wednesdays, and just letting them know that there is help and where to find it is a big thing. Like, some people might not feel like the urge to go and look for it, but just knowing like in the back of your head that there's someone to support you, like, it always makes a difference.
Do you want to say what a Wellness Wednesday is real quick?
Yeah, so every Wednesday, and one is videos too. One is Wednesdays. It's basically a table in front of the cafeteria, and we have different activities, and usually people participate for prizes. And one time, we did stress balls for finals week, and that was a big hit. Like, a lot of people came, and also we did words of affirmation. We had a paper here that you just wrote something nice you want someone else to know. And one is Wednesdays. One is videos that is made by the Wellness group to, let's say, show coping skills and talk about wait, I have this written down. Talk about
What's an example of one you've done? Coping strategies, suicide prevention, drug and alcohol, fentanyl.
Oh, and resources. Sorry. Resources. It was in my tongue. Yeah, we just tell them about resources, and it's played in every 4th period, so everyone gets to see it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
And that's at Novato High. Yeah. It used the cinematic arts program. So, yeah, working on it at San Marin. We're gonna make it happen.
Sorry, one more thing.
Sure.
Just in regards to the funding, grant funding is fantastic. It takes away from, we can do a program such as the wellness hubs at both at our high schools, create those, but unfortunately there's a limit on grant funding as well. There's an expiration date. So I know me, one trustee, I want to see this continue. How do we fit this into our budget somehow, some way? I don't know what we did without the wellness hubs. I mean, this is all went on the plate of the academic counselor, I think, a lot of it. So we definitely need to find a way to continue this. So I just want to put that plug out there. And
Thank you. We appreciate it. and we've been talking about how we can make that happen. So thank you. Anything
Okay,
else?
thank you all so much for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is staff report NUSD student retention analysis presented by Leslie Benjamin, Director of Communications.
Yes, we can.
Thank you, and good evening, trustees, student trustees, and Dr. Smith. Annually, we have been doing I'm so used to looking at this screen, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Annually, we've been doing a student retention survey to our families who have left NUSD, and this year was our 9th year of surveying families with the same questions, so we have longitudinal data. So this year we sent out 257 emails with the survey link with 2 additional reminders for a response rate of about 34%, so which is pretty good, in line with everything else. So this first one is our yearly student departures and respondents. So I just want to show the correlation between the blue line of the total students who have left compared to the orange line of the respondents, just to show a correlation that our respondents are somewhat reflective of the population that left. However, if you notice, the orange line is below the blue, and that it sort of drops off in the secondary 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. So that was a little bit different. And then on the next slide, I did have an update to this that you have at your table. I included the percentages at the bottom. And between last year and this year, we lost 7 students, but we maintained that like 3.8% loss of students compared to our first day of enrollment. So if you look back to 21, that was 6.2%, but if you go back to 2016, we were in the 5%, and then 2019, 4.2%. So I think for the last couple years, we've been pretty steady on not losing as many students, if that makes sense. And this is by grade level. So this represents our respondents. And the blue line is 2024, and the orange line is 2023. So it flipped a bit this year, where last year we lost more secondary students. This year we lost more, I shouldn't say lost, I should say they didn't return, elementary students. So of the respondents, 72 in elementary, 41 in the secondary. And total left was 147 elementary, 122 secondary. So. And the reasons why they decided not to return, it's always moving out of the area is usually the number one reason. It went down a little bit in this year. Blue is 24 and orange is 23. There was an increase of students attending private school and leaving due to safety, school safety. But there's a list that they can choose, and there was a decrease in respondents selecting lacking challenging curriculum, special education, and teaching staff. So that was good to see. And where did they go? Well, the student in elementary, it looks like a lot of our local K-8 schools, and that tracks with the increase in elementary students families not deciding to come back here. And in the secondary, it was interesting that we put a lot of some of the local high schools in the mix, and it wasn't selected by our respondents. And so I found that was interesting. Credo High School, which usually has, We see a high number of people going there, but because of the separation of Novato Charter and NUSD in our area system, we did not include them because it would be like 260 Novato Charter students that left, and I didn't want to skew the data. So that's where we see that. Thank you very much. And our next steps is we share this with principals at upcoming principal meetings. Thank you.
Questions, comments?
Just
Trustee
comments.
Mack?
Just say,
And then
Leslie,
Trustee
thank
Miller?
you. Really great analysis. It's getting better every year, isn't it? So in terms
is.
of, I remember
you.
for the first time this is just a questionnaire and we just kind of poked holes at it, but that's a
Mhm.
great analysis. Thank you.
Mhm.
Trustee Miller, did you?
I'm looking at not the last page, the page before, Leslie. That one, yeah. So on the very first column, it says Good Shepherd. So the blue is 2024, and the yellow or gold is 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So on the line on the left, it says 8. Is that 8 students went to Good Shepherd?
Yeah, those are the respondents.
Oh, that responded.
The
Okay, so this
respondents.
is just a response
This
data.
is the respondents, yes.
And these were students who, at one point, were in NUSD, so you had their name and address. This isn't how many people are currently at Good Shepherd, because you don't know those people.
No.
We don't have access to that data.
No.
This is just the number who used to go to NUSD and
Mhm.
are now made a switch, and, okay. So
Right.
so 8 is the right number. It's not 800 or 80.
No,
It's-
no,
it's
this is the
8
respondents.
Because you have a
So-
small population.
Right, so I have the family's email address, email them, and they complete the survey, and so they tell me where they went and where they are going now.
Okay, thank you for the information, thanks.
Trustee Gasson and then Trustee Lametta.
I was just going to add to that, since you brought up Good Shepherd, I think there was a transition at the school too, and not that I want you to do an extra layer of something, but I think there were students that came back to NUSD, which is why the spaces opened up, if that makes sense. So I think that there was a little bit of movement because of some circumstance. I mean, I happen to know people that came back from
No,
Good Shepherd
that's
to
interesting.
NUSD. So I think it's a great place to get data from, but I think that the other side too is that there's students that actually came back to the district as well.
Oh, great.
Thank you for your presentation. So I'm looking at page 6, reasons for departure. Were parents or family members able to choose multiple reasons of why they're leaving?
Yes.
Or did they have one
Multiple.
option? Okay, so one parent said it moved out of area, lacking challenge and school safety, right? They were able to select.
They could have, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
To Trustee Gasson's point, in agenda planning, we did talk a bit about, would it be interesting to add a layer of information to this type of presentation annually around what number of students we had come into the district at a time that isn't typical like TK or K, to sort of give us a counterpoint, because I also know numerous students who have come back. And maybe we wouldn't be able to kind of dive into the why as much, but it might be interesting. So food for thought if anyone else cares about that. Trustee Miller?
Yeah, I think if in fact what I heard is maybe there was an issue at Good Shepherd that we don't know about that was made space available. This is a measure of how many people filled the available space, not a measure of demand. So I think there's more information to be gleaned from this study. I think this is it's better than last year, it's better than the year before. It's really informative, and it would be good for us all to know how the community views the public school service versus the other private schools in town, which are, I guess just that's enough. There's a price range between private schools that are available in Marin County, and I think they represent different markets. I guess is what I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
$30,000 for a kindergarten.
Our next item is staff report expanded learning opportunity program update with Susie Hirschfeld. Oh, sorry.
have a little assistant, my boss. There. Okay, so, great. I would like to say something really quick about, you're talking about enrollment. Every year we ask our private schools their total numbers. They have changed very little in the last several years, the enrollment itself. The only year that we saw a difference in Marine Christian Academy was the Ks. They added a K class. But you would be surprised how consistent the numbers are. And a lot of times people thought, oh, they're all going to the private school. And a lot of times when I talk to these private schools, the parents primarily are there. One of the reasons is faith. These are faith-based schools. And that's something that's very important to them. So it's not a huge difference in total numbers. Okay, great. All right. Are we ready? Beyond the school day. So this evening, I'm going to talk, got it? No.
Maybe. There you go.
Ta-da. Okay. Good evening, trustees. Good evening, student board members, Dr. Smith. I came back to school from summer break, and I have been given the task of supporting ELOP. So I have a lot to learn. I've started to learn. So this evening we're just going to give you a brief general overview of what we've done so far with this program. So the first thing I promised Dr. Smith and Dr. Sinyard, I'm in the world of compliance, and I have a tendency to go down that hole, so I'll try to be very general, okay? I just wanted to bring up CDE under the Department of Education. These programs are all under expanded learning, and the reason I wanted to bring that up is because per CDEs, the intent of this umbrella is all these programs are to be considered a single comprehensive program. But when we say comprehensive, that really means there really are different aspects to these programs. And it's important to remember how they're funded. When we talk about longevity of funded, some are initiatives that voters vote for, and some are amendments. And so that always will trigger how things are funded. And especially these two programs are federal programs, the Assets in the 21st Century, and the ACES is a state program. Okay, and there was ELOP. Okay, great. All right. So.
Would you define ACES for us? That's an acronym, I'm assuming.
Yes, it's After School Safety and Education.
Thank you.
School program, yeah, ACES. And I wasn't going to go down this rabbit hole, I'll go later. We do have an ACES program at NUSD, but I'll talk about that later, okay? So what is ELOP? Extended Learning Opportunities Program. They decided a few years back every school district was going to get money. So every school district, regardless if you wanted it or not, you got some money. And it was established by an assembly bill. And when you have an assembly bill, there are lots of trailers to this. There have been a tremendous amount of changes in this program. One reason is when they started the program, they said, here you go, everyone's going to get a certain amount of money. The first round in Marin County, San Rafael, and Novato Unified got the most money. Most of the other school districts got $50,000. We got, I think the first year, $971,000. But COVID came, and people said, we can't start this now. This is really hard. So they let us do a planning year. So the purpose of the program is to focus on developing the academic, social, emotional, and physical needs and interests of pupils. The current funding is $4 billion. And like I said, everyone gets it. But assembly bills do change, and we just found out as of next year, you don't have to take it. Of course, we will continue to take it, but some districts have said, we just don't want it. So, but we're hopeful that money will stay in the pot. Okay, so the allocation is based on the prior year attendance and unduplicated student counts, and those are our English learners, our foster youth, and our students that are eligible for free and reduced lunch. And our homeless students are directly certified through our free and reduced lunch. Okay, and there's two tiers of funding. If you have an unduplicated student population district-wide, of 75% or more, you get a higher number per pupil allocation, and we have the lower number, less than 75. Okay, so then what is there? The rules. Okay, so it has to be offered primarily to TK and 6. It's, again, for English learners, foster youth homeless, and those who qualify for reduced meals. They attend the program for no charge. It needs to run 180 school days, plus it needs to run 30 non-school days, and that means 6 extra weeks, and that's no Saturdays. So we're looking at summer and intersessions. It must be offered a 9-hour day. So that means during the school year, you take your recess, your lunch, your classes, and then you add it so it's equal to 9 hours. In the intersession and in summer, it is 9 hours. It must be offered. The kids don't have to attend 9 hours, but it must be there, okay? The staff to student ratio, the little ones, it has to be 10 to 1. And for the older ones, it has to be 20 to 1, okay? Again, flexible attendance, because some of these other programs like ACES, the attendance is pretty strict, where this is, they tell the parents, they're very keen on saying, what is good for you? We're going to open it for 9 hours. We're going to open it these days. What is good for you, okay? And the idea is enrichment and academic support. It's not supposed to replicate the school day. It's supposed to support it. And the other thing was submitting a program plan to you guys for approval, and that was done last September, okay? So what does ELOP look for? At NUSD. So, like I said, this, the state said, here's this money, you've got to do it, and people kind of went, it's difficult with COVID. So they said, okay, you can have a planning year. So 22-23 was a planning year for NUSD. And what they did was, the questions that looked at is, do we want to do this in-house? Do we want to do this, with our staff? And staffing is very difficult. This is one of the most challenging things our service providers have, is finding and keeping qualified staff. The other question that was asked was, do we do this all sites? Because if you don't do it at a child's neighborhood school, then you must pay for transportation for them. And that's an issue. Transportation can be tricky. And so it was decided to get the program rolling. We would create a position for an ELOP coordinator. So in 23-24, the two primary things we did is we had Mike Casper, who used to be an administrator here. He became the ELOP coordinator, and he got the program running. And it was decided that we would look at 2 primary vendors, and that was the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club, both who have worked at YMCA, has deep roots at NUSD. And we also had a small agreement with North Marine Community Services, and we're working on with them again this year to see if we can work that out. And we also had a little one with Play Marin, but that was a sports program in the middle school, but that was more like a program within Boys and Girls Club. And we're looking at them also to see, perhaps maybe in the summer we'll do something with them. Okay, so what have we done so far this year? We have, once again, the decision was made to contract the services of the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club, and then to have me start working on the program. And my boss had the insight to, Dr. Sinyard, I should say, to enter into an MOU with Santa Fe City Schools with their ELOP coordinator, Mike Taylor. And I'm very grateful, thank you. He's very informative, and he's very patient with my questions. But I think the thing I like the most about him is, I come from the world of compliance. I can read things, I can understand things, but what he does for me is he will make me pivot and say, you're looking at it this way. The other day we were at Hamilton, and we were visiting Hamilton, and we were looking at the school, and he got so excited about this courtyard. And he was just like, so I lit up the courtyard. What are you doing with the courtyard? And so I was like, okay, so now I got to start looking at courtyards when I go to school. So he's very helpful. He's really helpful. Okay, so great. All right, let's talk about participation. All right, so We had the YMCA, and they, this is for, this I'm going to talk about last year and this, and summer and this year so far. So the YMCA is at Hamilton, Loma Verde, Lusatin, PB, Rancho, and Santa Marin. And then the Boys and Girls Club is at Linwood, Olive, San Jose, Sinaloa. Linwood had TK and K only because they have an ACES program already. And ACES is very different. It is 84 students. All students are invited, and it is till 6 o'clock, and it's only during the school year. And attendance, they look at attendance very closely. So, and your funding is based on your attendance, okay? So, and they get about, actually it's interesting, NUSD 2007, do you know what I realized today? Today, I have been here 17 years. I started when I was 10. So, but when I first came here, Kathy Marshall, who's the executive director, had applied several schools for ACES, and nobody got it. And they came back halfway through the year. CDE said, we're going to give it to Linwood. And we've been very fortunate because I'll tell you, you compete with school districts that have 80+% or more free and reduced lunch. So it's been very successful, that program. So, but right now what they're doing is they have some overflow. They're starting to work with the Boys and Girls Club. So they have ELOP and ACES on their campus. So for 23-24, their YMCA had 143 students during the school year. The summer, the YMCA, we put them on at Linwood. And our NUSD teachers taught in the morning, and then the YMCA came in the afternoon and did enrichment. And we paid for transportation. And then so far this year, excuse me, we have 150 students. And then with the Boys and Girls Club, we had 23-24, 190 students. Summer 2024, that was at Lou Sutton. They had 181, and so far we have 224. I think also what I would like to bring up too, and North Marin Community Services had 53 students last year, for example, the YMCA has full pay kids, they have ELOP kids, and they also have kids with Marin Child Care. So right now the YMCA, they try to leverage all their sources, has 80 students. In addition to identified ELOP students, there are 80 students from Marin Child Care services that are enrolled in our programs. So you have these three groups of students together. And okay, great. All right, program activities. What do they do? Well, I pulled up a weekly schedule and I looked at it, and for their enrichment, the YMCA, remember they work with the littler ones, the anatomy of a sunflower. They made some soap under the microscope. They have sports daily, and they do a little dodgeball, basketball, football, obstacle course, and then they have this academic support, which is homework club, and they also focus on reading. Okay. And then the Y, remember they have the little ones at Linwood, then they have Olive, and they have the older kids. So their enrichment, this, like I Amplify, this is like a 6-week course in our course for portraits. They do cooking, although it's on a hot plate. We're going to try to see if we can expand it. And then when I went to visit the other day, they were doing, it's kind of interesting, Humane Society visit preparing. They were doing little tie-dye dog toys. And so they were going to take them, and the cooking, they were going to do kitty treats, okay, so. And they were taking them because some students, the coordinator over there told me, are interested in animal care as a career. So we thought they wanted to take them there, so career aspirations. And also we also talked about, I said, Humane Society is also nonprofit. Maybe somebody might be interested in nonprofit. Also community action, getting the kids involved in that. So it was really nice to see how they connected it. Now, they currently do sports 1 day a week. And this North Bay Basketball Academy, what they were doing at the beginning of the year, they come one day a week and they do drills with coaches. And then the two, and sometimes the two schools will play a game together. Okay, and then they did soccer, and now the kids want volleyball. So, and then they have the academic support, which is their power hour, they call it. Okay, all right. So, Goals for 24, 25. It's huge. I mean, after school program, the nice part about it is it's endless, the opportunities. The hard part is trying to rein it in. So I looked at some of the things that I found since I've been working. One of the things is making sure that the registration is seamless, and especially for our Spanish-speaking parents, families. Language should not be a barrier for them. We do have, and that's something that we want to make sure that they have employees that speak Spanish, but sometimes somebody's not there. So we want to really make sure that that these families are welcomed, and that like I said, language shouldn't be a barrier to registering your child or finding out about the program. Okay, the next one is fortifying and gathering and sharing information with our providers. We need to work on a system because we have to offer them information, and we need to get information from them. We need to look at, for one example is, about this time of the year, you'll start to see patterns of kids in attendance. So if you have somebody who's attending on Monday only, okay, can we bring someone in for the rest of the week? How do we maximize this? So we're just trying to figure out with our providers. We started to talk to them about this. Also, we just went through a federal program review, which is where the state comes in and looks at a lot of stuff in different programs, and one of them was ELOP. It was an online review, and we must have uploaded about, 400 or 500 documents. It's a lot of documents, and it's done in the period of like 2.5 days. So you kind of get, So, but we learned a lot. So we're also working with coming up with systems because compliance, making sure we're compliant. Okay, that's the other thing. Examining program costs. So our preliminary allocation for this year, and it seems like a lot, is $2.6 million. However, when you start to look at that, when you start to look at 180 school days, and then you look at the 6 weeks and so we're really starting to look at talking to our providers, because it really needs to be mutually beneficial for them. Because if it's not, then they're not going to be able to stay helping us. So really looking at, we were talking with the Y today about what does it cost. We're trying to find out what does it cost to have a child here, and what and that's that. And then the other one is establish stakeholder engagement. We got called out for this because a lot of districts have done this. We have LCAP, right? And we have town meetings and stuff. And what they want is they want to see a meeting with a name on it. So what we're doing is formalizing that. We'll start with a district, for this year, a district meeting, then we'll follow it up with LCAP, and then next year we want to grow to really start working with the stakeholders at our sites, our administrators, our teachers, our students. And then the last but not least is student voice. In the title, it says, standard learning opportunities. And I think it's really important. What we look at is, what does opportunity mean to you? And I think a lot of times, I know I have been humbled in my life, because I have to tell you, I'm very, very fortunate. I was born with opportunity. My parents started my college fund the day I was born. I'm very lucky. I had every sports lesson you could think of, and then my parents finally realized maybe she's not going to be an athlete, so we went to art classes, and so I think that I know I have been humbled when I was a teacher to think, and this has happened sometimes. You think, here's a great opportunity. Hey, nobody came, so we really need to ask these children, what is it that you want, and what does opportunity look like, and how hard is it opportunity for you? What can we do for you? And the framework we're going to use for that, there's this book we've been using with MCOE and our leadership group called Street Data. It's a really great book. It's by Jamal Duggan and Shane, I can't even remember my own writing, Saphir. And what they do, it's all about building a system of equity student up. And they have some very nice, they're called equity interviews, and you do them one-on-one, and you do them in focus group, and you want to find out what are children's experiences, and and in the focus group, what patterns do we have in experience. So that one is really, I think, key to sparking the interest of students. What is it that they want to learn about? And that's it.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions or comments? We've got Trustee Mack and then Trustee Millerick.
Julie's going to answer the question.
Good stuff. Thank you for your presentation. Appreciate all the effort. Know that we're still figuring this out, right? One thing would be helpful, slide 6, if you could go back to slide 6, with the 2 blue boxes, is to know, so I see the participation from the unduplicateds for YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club. It'd be helpful to know what percentage that represents of our unduplicated population. In other words, what kind of penetration are we getting? What kind of participation are we getting?
Oh, I'm sorry, these are our unduplicated.
Oh, I thought these are the participants.
No, these are the unduplicated students.
Okay, all right. Then the other side of it, then showing the participation, the counts of participation in each of those levels. So we can just see are we getting all 143, or I'm sorry, this year, 150 at the Y, and 224 at the Boys and Girls Club that are eligible. Are they actually participating?
These are our unduplicated that are participating in the program.
Okay. The other way around. You know what I'm saying then? Right. So I'd like to, if I could, I'd like to see the whole population of unduplicated that we got. Well, I'd imagine it's a lot more than 224.
There is a lot.
And it'd just be nice to see what we're missing out on, what we need to encourage to show up. Because that's what we're here for, right? We really want to get these kids there. Because otherwise we're still not doing what we need to do. Right. Then the other thing I was going to ask is, so this is all built on support from the Y doing elementary and Boys and Girls Club doing middle. And, middle, right. 6th through 8th. And I know we're extending it to 7th and 8th, even though it's not technically funded. My question is, and I know we can't do this right away, we're just starting now, but can we look to the potential of driving this with our own staff to give them stipends to stay late and do this? 2 reasons. One, it just might work out more economically, but we'll see. I don't know. But most importantly, continuity. Having these kids work with the same people they work with during the day on campus, having the teachers see these kids outside of the classroom. I just think that helps tremendously and builds just more rapport. But I'm not trying to diminish the Y in any way, shape, or form, or Boys and Girls Club. They're fantastic. And maybe there is something to them coming in with a new face as well. So maybe it's a balance. But I just want to, once again, I know this is new, and we can work our way toward it, but I'd like us to think about that if we could.
We've definitely thought about that, just so you know. We have looked at that, but what we're trying to do right now, as you say, is we're off to a good start, is really build a framework using our service providers and getting them to, like, the registration, operating program, but then being able to, let's say, have some teachers that are interested in committing to a program and having them being, like, kind of pulled a program within a program. And that's what we're trying to look at. And we also have to, because we want to do is maximize enrollment, but also we need to be fiscally solvent too. So we have to look at that too. But no, that's something, because we have some teachers that are very interested, but we thought for this year, let us just really work on getting this part, really solidifying the operation part of it, and then looking next year internally, maybe, like, for example, the summer school is great. We do use NUS teachers. There are former Camp U teachers. So looking at that, and also possibly looking at some of maybe our high school students who might be interested, MSA, things like that, bringing all of that in. But we just need to make sure that it's a lot of work. I mean, these people work really hard, and they're there. There was one of them the other day, one of the coordinators that calling me from the field because somebody was ill. And so we have to think about that stuff. But also finding out, that would be our next step when we talk about stakeholder engagement, starting to reach out to the teachers. What would you like to see? What would you like to do? Because they're, like you say, there's a lot of talent here. And you're right about the relationship.
Right.
So very true. So yeah.
No, that's all good stuff. Thank you. And it gives me a lot more clarity. And I know we're all on the same page. I just want to make sure that I'm thinking about it right. Last piece, I'm sorry, before I give up my microphone, is non-unduplicateds that might want to participate. First off, is there any of that currently? And are we charging them? I'm guessing we're charging them.
The Y, and they charge them. We don't charge
Okay,
them.
so it's more of a direct, they go directly to the Y for that, and then they're actually part of the Y, but if there's any services provided beyond the Y, that they just really only get the Y services or the Boys and Girl Club.
That.
Okay.
And the Y today, they were talking about those full fee kids, those fees help pay, supplement. That's why I was trying to find out what the cost was.
Okay.
You know, what's the cost? So yes, there are, and it's kind of a balance too. They're trying to figure out how they can remain fiscally solvent too, because they need those kids too.
Yep.
But the Boys and Girls Club, yes, those kids are, when somebody registers, they look to see and they verify what group they'll be in. And there are some, they were telling me today, even with the Marin Child Care and the ELOP and the full fee, there's some families, they've tried to find other money too, because sometimes there's some families that don't qualify for ELOP. They don't
They're out there.
qualify for Marin Child Care, but the full fee is it's too much for them. So they're
Okay.
trying to do sliding scales and things like that.
Mom and dad both work. They need somewhere to sit for the child to go after school. They can't afford it.
Right, absolutely. So they try to work with that too. Okay.
So I think my questions are along the same line as Greg, but before I ask my questions, Susie, I've worked with you for 17 years, and this board is lucky to have you working closer with them. You have done extraordinary work and kept this district's nose clean and compliance in place, and have always been the person when we turn to, things are always done right and done the first time. So I would like to thank you publicly for the 17 years you just celebrated. So
Started as just a toddler doing it. Thank you.
So I knew you were, 4 when you started?
Yeah,
right?
I know.
That's right.
It takes the sting out of it.
Yeah. So the second is this conversation about how do you support a community? How does a public school support a community, not just for the classroom hours during the school year, 7 to 2 or 8 to 3, but these programs that are outside, and it's a fabric of multiple things. These are the unduplicated kids that have these entitled programs, plus the other trustee was pointing to the kids that don't qualify as unduplicated students who need services just as well. And I'm thinking of my 2 grandchildren who have exactly that issue. Mom's busy working, so what do? Plus, we've implemented recently middle school sports programs to give opportunities which were taken away in the 70s for those kids to have a place to go and an adult relationship to work with. So I'm thrilled about this presentation. I am looking forward at some point to see how we're trying to cover that whole fabric. And I think that's a question to the superintendent for some future meeting. How do we actually meet the community's needs to make sure our kids aren't influenced by gangs because that's the only voice in town? They're influenced by sports teams or support programs or gardening programs, or at the elementary schools and the middle schools and at the high schools. And so I am thrilled with this. But to me, this is a piece of a puzzle, and there's more to it, and it deserves attention over the next year or two in terms of drawing that big picture. So I think I just handed it off to Dr. Smith, I think, for some future work. So,
Trustee Gasson, did you have a question, comment?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I appreciate your approach on this, and I'm so excited and love all the stuff that we're doing. And I don't know if you're the person or if it was in my head about the rabbit hole, if you said rabbit hole earlier, because I guess I did that when I was looking at your presentation and for whatever reason decided, hey, how do we relate to the other schools? And so I have this whole principal apportionment summary report, which I gather is probably from the CDE. Anyways, on a website. And it was interesting to see what schools, how much each school was allocated. And actually, this has a whole bunch of columns for other different things. So I don't know if anybody else is interested in it. But we definitely, along with San Rafael, have, a good chunk of money coming in through here. And one of the things that you stated in your presentation was that somebody might decline to do this. And so I don't know why they would do that, other than I imagine trying to staff it and everything is probably in some ways not, like some of the dollar amounts on these sites are not very much. In fact, one is only like $50,000. So is that why? Just because a lot of extra work you have to do in reporting and staffing and?
It is the staffing, or they just decide. Some just say this is too much for me, or they can't, depending also geographically where they are. There's like, we don't have any extra services. I know that the charter school, Novato Charter School, they hired the Y. They were like, we just don't have the bandwidth to do this, because also it is a big, it's a big lift a lot of times to get teachers to commit, to do this. And so sometimes they just go, we just don't have it, or.
So I actually did notice that the charter school had separate bucket for their funding, but so is it that you don't have to do it, or
it started with, it was kind of a little bit cart before the horse, here's this money, everyone has to do it. And a lot of people went, wait a minute, this is hard. A big one is staffing, doing the staffing and everything. And so the way it's changed, they said, okay, next year you don't have to do it.
Okay, got it. And so that was your statement then about, then if they're not going to use that money, hopefully it could go in the bucket and then be distributed. Okay, got it.
Crossing our fingers, because, the thing is, it's $4 billion is quite a bit of money. And you have people, you have people, the ACES, it was a proposition, and people were saying, well, they would like to repeal it. And that's only about $789 million, that money. So it's just kind of like, so it depends on, like I said, sometimes you have to look at, when we're talking about these programs, how are they funded? And people wonder about the ebb and flow of money.
Right. Well, and that becomes a challenge because we start implementing something really positive, and then the money gets taken away or it's reduced, and then you're still trying to do those services, and you've got, you do all this time and effort, and then it's like, okay, well, now what? So
exactly.
Anyway, well, I appreciate all the work you're doing on this, and I looked at the data points and actually the benefit for our kids. So thank you.
I just want to add that these numbers are about 10% of our unduplicated count, FYI. Anything else? Okay. Thank you so much, Susie. Really appreciate everything. Okay, next up we have approval of the 24-25 middle school athletic handbook and volunteer coach application. I think Mike Saisi is going to be presenting, but he has friends. And I also just want to take a moment to thank Ellen for all of her work on this. She is very knowledgeable about all things sports and NUSD, and their cross section is this, and she has put a lot of time into this to make it this wonderful thing we have today.
Thank you.
I don't know. My friends can come up here. Come on up. All right, so good evening, student board members, trustees, and Dr. Smith. Trustee Jacobson, you stole my thunder a little bit because I was going to also acknowledge Ellen. She has done a tremendous amount of work that has made this possible, and she's been an incredible partner for me in learning how to do this. So just a huge thank you to Ellen. So to start off, I wanted to introduce, we have athletic directors here in the district. We have Elizabeth Pasquale from San Jose Middle School. We have Scott Himes from Sinaloa Middle School. And we have Neil Kanan, who is with the RISE program at Hamilton and is working with Brian Clement on their sports program as well. The goals for the program for middle school are not only to promote fitness and physical health and skill building, but also to teach teamwork, cooperation, and sportsmanship while at the same time developing friendships. Middle school sports has been underway already this school year. We have had a cross-country season and a flag football season. I know, I believe all of you went out to the Red Rock Run on October 17th to see all three schools, Hamilton, San Jose, and Sinaloa, participate. We were very fortunate to have San Marin and Novato High School cross-country students there as well to help out during the event. And we've had other cross-country meets as well during this season that have included some top 10 performances by some of our middle school athletes. Our flag football season has just wrapped up. We had this year one co-ed team. We had 2 girls teams, a boys team, and a couple of those teams made the playoffs, which was outstanding. The participants, so for flag football for San Jose and Sinaloa, we had roughly about 40 students at each school site. And then cross country, we had about 68 runners. And again, we had some top 10 finishers. The sports calendar for the school year, I've already mentioned cross country and flag football. We are in the process of setting up middle school basketball. The season's going to run from January through March. And so we are just getting interest forms from students on if they are interested in playing, and then getting them officially registered and then having practices. And then in the spring, we'll have track and field and volleyball. How are we doing outreach to students? So we are getting the word out through the weekly newsletter that principals send out, emails, flyers, social media, and Parent Square. And all of this is done in English and Spanish. We are now meeting, and it says monthly, but they will tell you, and I will tell you, that it's actually been more than monthly. We've probably been like every 2 weeks, I want to say, as we're getting this underway. But we have been talking about budget. I've been learning that there really isn't an overall commissioner of all the sports. It's different people at different sites that run each sport. We are developing coach applications, which I believe you have. And then student registrations. We've been talking about equipment and first aid. And then just a huge thank you to Equip Sports. They just donated 20 first aid kits for our middle school sports teams. And so they actually just picked them up tonight. And then working on the handbooks that you have as well. The budget, we are anticipating using Title IV funds. Education Services is working on this right now. In order to use Title IV funds, we have to have a parent meeting to discuss the plan for the use of those funds through middle school sports. And then the 2 handbooks, Student and Parent Guardian Handbook talks about expectations, academic eligibility, student registration, the code of conduct, and social media expectations. And then the coach's handbook talks about code of conduct, philosophy, expectations, responsibilities, and injuries if they happen to happen during the season. And then at the end of the year, this year, we normally have the high school athletic directors come and give an annual report, but we will also have the middle school athletic directors come as well to do their report. As far as the handbooks and the coach's application, we are asking for approval of those 2 handbooks and the coach's application this evening. The handbooks are condensed versions of the already board-approved high school versions of those handbooks. You do have a pink version in front of you. We had to make a couple of minor edits that I just want you to be aware of. On page 4 of the student and parent or guardian handbook, under item number 3, we took out a sentence in there that said, contact your school's athletic director to obtain a copy of the waiver. That waiver is no longer required for that to happen. And then on page 18, under health and safety, in the second paragraph, there was a first sentence in there that said students shall have a medical clearance before participating in interscholastic athletic programs, and that is, we are not having them do that for middle school sports. High school sports, yes, but middle school sports, no. And that is it, unless if you have any questions.
Questions, comments? I think it's you, Trustee Mack.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. And just like ELAP, I know this is a moving target. I know there's a lot of balls in the air, the biggest one being whether or not, MCAL is going to do something. But, and the update on that is John Lenz is still working on that study. So I got an update a couple days ago. So more to come on that. But in the meantime, I'm just going through the slides here, and where my first question, where'd it go? Sorry, I wrote down so many notes. In terms of the goals, agree with all these, but I would like to add one, and maybe this is something we add down the road, or whatever we can do. And I know I'm springing this on you now. I apologize for that. I would have liked to do this in advance, but I just didn't have time over the weekend. But is to expand sports participation in an equitable way. Right now, as you know, sports is too often a pay-to-play proposition in this community. And there's a ton of kids that just would love to play, but they don't, they just think they can't afford it, or two, they just don't even know how to start. And where I'm going is, one of the goals is for us to reach out and pull those kids in and get them to participate. There are so many kids out there that want to play soccer, and quite often they're kids of lesser means, and they don't. And I just heard anecdotally that the San Jose soccer club, if you will, is showing some immense talent, and none of these kids play NYSA. Just one anecdote. And I think there's, in just about every sport, that can happen. So I'm just, if we could add a bullet, and I'd even make it the top one, really, equity, and however we phrase that, something like that. Then, I'm sorry, I'm just going through these things to see. Great participation, thank you for getting that going. And then the commissioner for each sport thing, it's tricky because ultimately we're going to need a commissioner for MCAL, or MCAL Junior, whatever we call this. Anyway, I'll work on that with you guys. Coaching. I tons of ideas here, but the first one really ties to continuity. Is it important for us to achieve continuity between the sports programs at the middle school level and the high school level? I don't know. That's a question we need to ask as a group. Is that important to us? Does that violate NCS recruiting violations? Frankly, I don't think it does, but there's paranoia about it that it does. We need to be really crystal clear on that. If that's what we want to achieve, do we schedule the seasons to be consistent? In other words, the same season between high school and middle school, or do we differentiate them so that the high school kids can come down and coach the middle school kids off season? Just a thought. Oh, did you want to?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Scott,
Come over.
So I'll give you an example. Petaluma School District, their girls basketball season for 7th and 8th graders or junior high, for Petaluma Junior High and Kenilworth, both had the girls season in the fall.
Right.
So their high school coaches, the girls coaches, coach both the junior highs and their high school teams for the varsity coaches. Tony Butler, we're lucky, Tony Butler coached our 7th grade team last year that won the championship, and then Tony's going to coach again with us this season for our 8th grade team. So that's a great connection. Tony Butler is the varsity basketball coach at San Moran High School. So it works out really well. So I don't know if that's the kind of direction you're kind of going.
That's totally the type of direction, but I guess I'm looking to us as a group to decide whether it's more important for the kids to play these sports at the same time as the high school, or to differentiate it so that then we can tap into those players and coaches to coach at the other level.
So our cross-country club at Sinaloa, we have the coaches. We've had coaches come and help us out. There was a time period when I was coaching the track and field team for Sinaloa. We would do our practices at San Moran, and the coaches would help out, and the student athletes that were on the team would help us out too, and it was great. It was a great connection. Former students of mine teaching PE at Sinaloa, they were eager and excited to help out the team, so it was a great connection there. Now us having our own facility, our track, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get those students, to come over to Sinaloa, but
So you might have to
I'll definitely reach
differentiate
out
the
to them and
season.
encourage them. Yeah.
Right.
So at pardon me, at Hamilton, we actually have soccer pretty much all year long, so that the kids can come back, Novato kids come back, and they do help out, which is actually really great for our kids. And it's the continuity, and they understand just the just the toughness of going through the program and having the grades, and then what it's like to be in high school. So we have that now, and it helps. And I think it really is great for us. And we do that with soccer, we do that with volleyball, and we do soccer at all levels, which is great for our kids, the high school kids, to teach the second graders through the 8th graders.
Fantastic. So, and then coaching, and this is a budget issue, but ultimately we have to pay people to do this. And so we need, as a board, need to think about stipends. And, do we do something kind of consistent, prorated down from high school or what? But we have to think about that, because I think we would all agree having teachers as coaches would be ideal, keeping them on campus, talking to the kids, work with the kids, knowing about, expanding the classroom once again, and do everything we can to avoid parent volunteer coaches. We don't want daddy ball. Okay, go for it.
I add with that, so currently we have a great campus supervisor right now, Orlando Wiggins. He coached our flag football team. We're unable to pay him. He's on campus, campus supervisor. And so, yes, we can have paid coaches. I don't think Orlando will continue to coach for us without that stipend or that motivation to be here with the kids. It is a lot of extra time for them. And yes, a positive would have teachers and campus supervisors that can coach our team similar to in high school.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Right. And then kind of the last piece, and this goes back to high school actually, is dual participation. The concern we'll have with a student playing a middle school sport and then playing the club school sport at the same time, or the club sport at the same time. Injury issues, scheduling issues. We probably need to think about what kind of rules we have around dual participation, if any. But we probably need to think about that. We have definitely very strict rules at the high school level, at both going to CIF. But if this is going to be an extension, kind of working our way down into middle school, that's one of the things we have to think about. So, and then lastly, and I think this is where Ellen came in, coordination with the youth programs as best we can. We don't want to put them out of business, of course. We want to work with them and tap into their resources, but at the same time, we just need to be partnering with them as best we can, but we might bump into them. So, anyway, sorry.
Trustee Butler?
Well, I would just, instead of you kind of looking to us to see what we were kind of thinking, all your points are very valid. The program is obviously going to grow over time, but I would probably take all of your points back to a committee and bring something back to the board if you have to, as this grows. And I don't want to have those discussions here at this table. So I'd want a collective thought process through everything and how we can fund some of this stuff. I think that's the biggest
funding. Yeah.
The funding. So another program that we don't want to see go, but how can we do it effectively, but maybe not get so big? I mean, it's just tough. I mean, so a committee work. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say that exactly. And I think as the high school sports oversight organization grows into middle school, we're going to see some guidelines that will shape some of that, I would assume, possibly.
Possibly.
But it might be a minute.
It might be a while.
Yeah. Okay.
We might be on our own for a couple of years.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like we have some things to discuss and more information to follow. Other questions or comments, or would we like to move to approve these items?
I'll move to approve.
Great. We have a first from Trustee Mack. Trustee Butler, I heard. All in favor? 6 trustees plus 1 student, none opposed. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate the help, guys. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Next item is presented by Dr. Julie Sinyard. This is the review and approval of board policy updates in the 500 series, first reading.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Tonight I'm bringing forth Board Policy 5147, Dropout Prevention. This is a first read. And this policy is really asking us to partner with our families to respond and to address issues of chronic absenteeism and truancy. And it discusses developing district and site strategies to support attendance and create safe and positive learning environments for all students. And I think we've done a lot of this work already, kind of starting with the DCAN from last year. They focused on attendance recovery programs. These are some potential options, referral to school and community support services, and additional opportunities for instruction. So with all of our ELOP programs that you've heard tonight and all of the other major work that we've done to really ensure that we are having safe campuses, and our training work with PBIS, the Positive Behavioral Intervention and Supports Frameworks, that we really do have a lot of these strategies already in place. So I'm bringing this one forward for a first read and would appreciate that.
Questions or comments? Trustee Gasson?
Thank you. I try to read these early on so you guys can know what we're questioning. So I don't remember exactly where my question comes from, but I have it written across here about Saturday Academy. Are we still doing that?
We did do that a little bit, but I think we've pulled back on that right now. What we were finding last year is that the number of students to kind of break even a little bit with the attendance programs wasn't fruitful for us in terms of recouping our costs for the teachers. And what we were also finding is because it's voluntary, the kids that we were really trying to target to come who were missing school weren't the kiddos who were coming. It was kids who were already on grade level, doing really well, who just wanted to spend some extra time on Saturdays with our staff. Okay. So the demographics of that was not exactly what we wanted. So we haven't started that again yet this year, but that's definitely been on the table and still a point of discussion.
Okay. Well, because I remember, I mean, not that my kids miss a lot, but it was like an invite only kind of thing. It wasn't like just open to who wants to come on Saturday. So, right. But I also know that you have to pay for the teacher and also like an admin or principal kind of person. So I understand that complexity. The other question I had on here was about summer programs. Does that offset any of the days, or is it just a school?
I don't think it would, I'm not sure, it wouldn't, because the year ends, but what it would do was make sure that if kids were losing instruction, that we can catch them back up. So for the high school level, we have our credit recovery program. So kiddos are in Apex and we can get them back on track. And then we have the ELOP programs that we would have with the summer school. And the middle school, we would have Aim High and kind of that opportunity for other learning opportunities. But to my understanding, it does not kick back in, but I could do some more research on that one.
That's okay. I just know that we actually have some really nice programs. One of my, I would like to call her my friend and teacher, does one of the programs, and I love what she does with the kids, and she loves doing it. So I just think that's another nice thing that we offer here at the district. So anyway, if no one else has any comments or questions, I'd be happy to make a motion.
Okay, we're looking for a motion to approve this first reading to come back as a second reading on consent, and I heard a first from Trustee Gasson, thank you, and a second by Trustee Lametta. All those in favor? 6 + 1 student trustee and unopposed, thank you so much. Our next item is also by Dr. Sinyard. We have the approval of board policy updates in the 600 series.
And this board policy is 6142.92, mathematics instruction. And this new policy is kind of addressing the incorporation of the 2023 mathematics framework for the California Public Schools, kind of the kinder through 12th grade. And this policy is outlining supporting staff in teaching mathematical concepts in the context of real-world situations. The goal of this policy is to help students gain a strong conceptual understanding of mathematics that allows them to apply their procedural knowledge, think skills and fluency to solving problems. And so this policy also addresses not only the mathematical content standards, but also the mathematical practices that are to be incorporated in the math curriculum. And this is kind of coming from the 2023 framework. And so this policy is complementing some of the previous mathematics policies. You've seen a couple of those in the last few meetings, if not more from last year as well, to ensure that all students are having access and opportunity to high-level mathematical instruction. This is another board policy.
Trustee Millerick?
So the actual implementation of classroom instruction happens between a teacher and a student. So are these policies that really talk about almost pedagogy shared with the math chairs and the math instructors?
Yes, they
How do we
are
do that?
familiar. Yes, and absolutely.
Because
As we
sitting
start
here,
to-
none of us are in that classroom.
No, those are conversations we have, but the teachers have had the framework and they've had the standards for years from the Common Core standards. So this is just really solidifying the fact that we are teaching the mathematical practices in addition to the typical content standards and trying to align those more.
As best as you understand, we're already doing this. This just gets it into policy. Is that a fair statement?
I would say so, absolutely. And then refining it and continuing to align our practices.
Yeah, so if my point is, if we're refining it, somebody's got to tell the teacher we're refining it, and they got to be made aware of what we're doing here.
having lots of fun
Otherwise, it's
conversations
just
with math.
paper on our desk.
Yep. No, agreed. And so one of the things too that we're doing this year is starting our math task force. So this will definitely be a topic of conversation in addition to many numerous other items along mathematical.
That's the part that's
There you
interesting
go.
to me. Yeah. Okay. So I'd be more than happy to move with this, so you can continue on that math framework.
We have two more questions first, and then I'll come back to you for that
Okay,
motion.
that's fine. Somebody else.
Trustee Lametta and then Trustee Gasson?
No, I was going to second.
Trustee Gasson, let's have
Don't
your
move
comment
so
first.
fast. No, I just had a follow up just to that because I know that we're currently piloting a math program, which I assume this piece incorporates well into whatever it is that I don't remember what the program is, but correct?
Yes.
I mean, it sounds like we're already doing these things. It just solidifies, but it's in alignment with whatever we're already piloting to improve the outcomes for our students.
Correct. We want our outcomes to be better. You know,
Right.
we've seen our data. We definitely want to move our students to higher learning and to more opportunities to take higher level math courses, kind of really strengthening, K through 12 and focusing in all different areas with our vertical alignment and absolutely saying, okay, are we making sure that we are at the elementary level, ensuring that kids understand the mathematical practices and can start talking and reasoning? Because it's different than when we learned math. I mean, when we learned math, it was all memorization, right? Application or real world problems. You had a couple of word problems about the trains. Other than that, and this is really kind of putting this in. So you all remember those, right?
I actually was really
sorry, I
bad
get
at word
PTSD.
programs. No,
Right,
the word
exactly.
problems were terrible. And as you saw from the North Marin Council meeting, I mean, this is like a real, parents are really aware of the issues surrounding math. And so I think this is just great. I did actually go back and look at, you're right, we've been approving policies and stuff around this. So I know there's a lot of tension and I appreciate that. So thank you. So I'm good if Trustee Lametta wants to second.
Okay, so I heard a first from Trustee Millerick for this first reading and coming back on consent, and a second from Trustee Lametta.
Right. And all in favor?
All in favor?
Yeah.
6 + 1, none opposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
I look forward to our DNFs going down.
Sorry, I had the same question as you earlier.
Yeah, no, it's how us sitting at this table makes no difference. It's what happens in the classroom that matters.
Our next item is brought to us by Francesca Whitcomb. This is approval of new job description, behavioral health coordinator, also a first reading.
Hi, good evening, trustees, Superintendent Smith, and Brayton. So what you have before you here, we are basically updating and revamping the previous behavioral health specialist job description. You have the older version, which I think dates back to 2015 as best I could tell from the archives. And bringing it into alignment with the duties currently performed, which does still include supervision over our one-on-one or paraeducator 2 staff. But yeah, it does basically incorporate a lot of the newer things that this position is taking on and doing for quite a while, actually.
Questions, comments? Would anyone like to move to approve this item? Oh, we have a question from Trustee Lametta.
In the old document, in the old document at the bottom of the page, qualifications, it has bilingual Spanish preferred. Are we not requiring or, including that line on the new job description?
I'm happy to revamp that for bringing it back on consent.
That would be great.
Awesome.
If everyone else agrees or disagrees, I'm open.
Sounds like that would be a plus we would love to see.
Yep.
Okay, this is also as first reading. Any changes can come back on second, which will be on consent, and we can all keep an eye out for that, for the changes and anything else. Motion? Trustee Novato, thank you. Second, Trustee Mack. Oh, I saw you both. I said Mack, that's it. All in favor? 6 + 1, none opposed.
Get back in December.
Thank you. And our last item is brought to us by Joshua Braff. This is the approval of the actuarial analysis of retiree health benefits.
Good evening, trustees. I asked Braden earlier what he's really into, and he said governmental accounting standards. So, brother, I have an item for you. The GASB 7475 is an actuarial analysis, which means it looks back at last year and tells us basically where we landed. I'm asking the board tonight to approve this item, which basically means you accept the item as true. And what do we get from that? We're saying that we're not going to change any of our practices or policies because this is in alignment with what we expected. And it basically shows that our actuarial analysis has gone down, and that's probably because we have less people who are taking advantage of our OPEB or other post-employment benefits. Those are what sometimes are called gap benefits, and they're benefits that are allowable up until you're a specific age, which is the age of Medicare, 65. And it's harder now to retire before 65 than ever before, so we expect this to probably continue to go down if nothing dramatic changes in society overall, we'll call it. And with that dismal note, please approve this GASB 7475 tonight. Thank you.
Any questions?
There's a point, there's been lots of conversation, some led by Trustee Nell, correctly at the time, that said the liability for health care for schools has been severe. This isn't that item. This is an item, $1 million, only $1 million, where we cover from somebody retiring until their Medicare age. That big number, which is real, and we contribute up to 20% of a person's salary, is a liability at the state, and they assess us, and we have no choice. So the one you read about in the newspaper is not this one at all. It's something entirely different. This is a little minor, enough to get, if somebody retires at 60, they can get to 65 before they're Medicare eligible. This is a very little number. That other one's a huge percentage of our budget and is a real problem, and it created by the state underfunding it 10 or 20 years ago, and we're playing catch up now. So just to be clear, we understand the difference. I'll ask my CFO, did I correctly distinguish between the two issues?
You're speaking about CalPERS and CalSTRS.
Yeah.
This is if everyone was to retire today, that's how much it would cost. The fact is that, myself included, most of us are not retirement eligible, so that's never going to happen. So that big number that's on there is not a real number. It's an analysis of what could happen if that were to ever happen.
And the big number is only $1 million compared to the STRS PERS, which is...
And our actual cost is about $66,000.
Each year.
In terms of like what this is analyzing, our actual cost is about $66,000 per year.
Okay. With that explanation, I will move to approve this item.
Thank you, Trustee Miller for the first and Trustee Mack for the second. Other conversation? Great, all in favor? 6 plus our expert student. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
That is the end of our agenda. We will see you next meeting, which is December 3rd. Adjourned.